Hello, everyone. Welcome to Akasa Living. And look who I've got with me. It's none other than Elizabeth Kipp. How are you doing, Elizabeth?
Oh, great, Maysha. It's great to see you.
It is so good to see you. My goodness, you do so many things. I'm going to let you rattle them all off because if I try to tell people, I will leave something out. This is like the guru. So,
Oh heavens, heavens. So I'm a stress management specialist. In my area is really chronic pain, and under that umbrella, I do trauma train. I'm a trauma trained and yoga informed addiction recovery coach, an ancestral clearing practitioner, yoga and meditation teacher. I'm also a best-selling author. I wrote a book. I'm a co-author in a bunch of other books, but I wrote this book, The Way Through Chronic Pain. I'm so used to doing this way.
I know. And we practice and everything.
Tools to reclaim your healing power. It's the book for chronic pain sufferers and those who care for them, doctors, nurses, family members, and friends. It offers proven techniques to help clear pain and live a life free from suffering, from a former chronic pain sufferer, me, who searched the world for solutions and found them. So that's what this book is.
And it is an amazing book. When I first got it, it became like a Bible to me. I mean, I was like, everything I went through, I was like, oh my gosh, every line was like this nugget of profound truth. I was just it's an amazing book. I talk about it to people all the time. I've shown it to people. I've given it away before, and you sent me another one. I mean, I absolutely love that book. It is, and I quote all the time, as Elizabeth Kipp says, we're born on an inhale, we die on an exhale. I mean, I quote you all the time saying that. So, but I know that is not exactly what we're talking about today. I know today we're talking about resilience. What is it, and how do we nurture it? So I'm just going to let you take it away, Elizabeth.
Well, I'll just thank you, Maysha. I'll just talk about why I'm even qualified to speak on this topic.
Sure.
Right? And so I'm going to give the backstory of like, well, how did I even get into this space, right? So I suffered with chronic pain for over 40 years. And I was on prescription opiates and benzodiazepines for 32 of those years, and went into a pain management program of Dr. Peter Prescott, who also wrote a book, Conquer Chronic Pain: An Innovative Mind-Body Approach. He passed away, but he left us this book. Mm-hmm. And my book is the patient manual to his. So they kind of go together. Anyway, I went into his program. He really understood the nature of chronic pain. And whereas all my other doctors are like, you have to live this for the rest of your life. And, you will be this way for the rest of your life. And anyway, they made an error in that prediction, right? Anyway, Dr. Peter showed me how to clear it. So I walked in there with 40 years of chronic pain and walked out 52 days later with no pain.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one. He had a 94% success rate. He took
That's amazing.
Thousands of patients he worked with. So, I'm not like this special person. I'm just, if I can do it, everybody can do it.
You don't hear of many things with a 94% success rate.
I know.
Most things when you talk about it, a 94% success rate, that's phenomenal right there.
Yeah, that's right. So I come from this space of having been through the ringer and healed. And now I'm on the other side, kind of trying to help other people. So there's kind of where I qualify. And then I'd like to say, well, what is resilience, right? Resilience is our ability to handle stress, our capacity. We have a kind of a built-in capacity to handle stress, and it's not fixed. You can grow it, or you can reduce it depending on what's happening in the system.
Okay.
Now, it's interesting. My experience with chronic pain and resilience is kind of interesting. People used to say, "Oh, you had chronic pain for 40 years. You must be really resilient." And I'm like, I thought that too. I was like, well, what are you defining resilient as, right? And that's a misunderstanding. thinking that in chronic pain I was resilient. It's a misunderstanding of what resilience is and what chronic pain is. So chronic pain is any pain that's felt, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, any pain that's felt.
Any type. Yes.
15 days out of 30 for 3 months or more is chronic. Why is that important? Because it changes the brain and it changes the nervous system. After 15 days out of 30 for 3 months or more, the brain is changed. We have a highly adaptable brain, and it changes depending on the information that comes in. And chronic pain changes the brain in a way of adding like confusion and brain fog into the mix. We have an accentuated emotional reaction where we get much more negative in the chronic pain experience. It's kind of like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? it's this a lot of negativity. So that's kind of the chronic pain. That's what happens. The brain is modified. So the good news is that we can bring healing modalities to heal those changes. The brain is plastic. It adapts. It's constantly adapting to the information that comes in.
Right.
So we need to give it information that helps heal the changes.
Right. Highly programmable. It's meant to be programmed, so it's highly programmable. Yes.
So stress, how we handle stress, our capacity to handle stress is resilience. The stress can be and is healthy. For example, we get a temporary rise in the hormone cortisol when we have episodes of acute stress, and that's healthy and necessary. But when those levels, when that's chronic, when the stress is chronic and those levels are sitting there all the time, that's a problem, right? So in resilience, our stress response, which is a physiological reaction to a stressful event, is able to turn on or off in a balanced, normal nervous system. And when the brain is balanced. In chronic pain, that stress response gets thrown out of whack. And you've experienced this too, because if you're experiencing this, we call it hypervigilance. It gets stuck in the on position. I'm always looking for the threat, right? You just can't relax. That is not resilience. That is, we've gone outside of the capacity there into unhealthy.
Yes.
Resilience is within the bounds of a healthful response to stress. Hypervigilance is outside of that area. Dr. Dan Siegel calls that the window of tolerance. So there's kind of a window, and depending on what's happening with us in a chronic pain experience, that window gets smaller because the nervous system's dysregulated. When you're healing, when I went through Dr. Peter's program and I kept working the tools that he gave me, my resilience grew, and the hypervigilance eventually kind of dropped off. I've still got a hair trigger startle response. Like, I'm not sure that's ever going to go away.
Right.
But you startle me, boom, I feel it. I feel alive. It's like fire went off inside of me, but I'm down in 5 or 10 seconds. Right. So that's a very, that's a lot of resilience that's built. And otherwise I used to be like messed up for days. Like I'd be, for days. I'm not like that anymore because I've cleared the effects of chronic pain.
Right.
So that's kind of an understanding of my chronic pain experience. Oh yeah, I withstood a lot, but I didn't do it in a healthy way. And you see me now. I don't know what everybody thinks, but when I first went into Dr. Peter's program and they evaluated me, because I read the comments after I got out, they said I presented like an 80-year-old woman, and I'm 68 years old, and people don't even believe that. They think I'm younger, right? So that's kind of interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's an example of where I was and where I am,
right?
And how the tools that I use helped me build resilience, right? So here are a few examples of. So I was just going to say, resilience is not about grin and bear it. It's not about that. It's not about pushing through either. It's not about
those were my two. Those were my two. I mean, and I was so proud of myself that I was able to grin and bear or push through in spite of all the chronic pain and everything. I was so proud, but you're absolutely right. Those were coping mechanisms that were above and beyond and way outside the scope.
Outside the window.
Yeah, way outside. And why I was in such chronic pain is because I was doing all of that. I was allowing that and doing all of that. Yeah.
It was why it was it wasn't healing.
It wasn't healing. Right. Right.
So when we deal with stress and we go into a defensive, protective posture, we're no longer responding in a resilient way.
Yes.
We're reacting and we're not operating from resilience. We're doing this and pushing through has got this posture, right? And grin and bear it has this posture. It's not like this. It's not like that. So, you can feel the energy of it, right? It's good we're on videos because people will understand that energy. Right?
Yeah, I can feel the memory in my muscles. I can feel them, doing that. Yeah, we know what that feels like. We're not going to go there, but we can give you a preview of what that was like. And I'm like, no, relax. We're not doing that anymore. So
breathe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No. We don't do that anymore. Yeah.
So here are a few examples of protective rather than connective or resilient behaviors.
Okay.
We're either protecting or connecting. We can't do both at once. It doesn't work like that, right?
Okay.
The brain on chronic pain is a protective situation. Addictive behavior patterns. I keep doing this thing and I can't stop it, right? That's a coping strategy that's gone a little bit haywire, maybe a lot haywire, right? It started out as a coping strategy. Now it's like just an unhealthy freaking thing, right? Pushing through. Blaming, shaming, irritability, and anxiety. Again, brain on chronic pain. Isolating, and even people pleasing. It's another version of a nervous system that's gone into this fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode. Even people pleasing is the fawn part. So how do we switch from protective, defensive to connective? How do we do that? The idea is we'll bring in the breath as a practice. There are practices you can do, but the most important one that I can teach everybody today is just a long, deep breath. So you'd sit evenly on both sitting bones, hands comfortable, straighten the back and relax the shoulders back and down and raise the heart. So you have access to the lung. Bring the chin in just a bit so the back of the neck is flat. And then as we take a breath in, we're going to fill the belly. And then as we exhale, we're going to use the abdominal muscles to push the air in and out on that exhale. And take a nice big inhale. Fill the belly. And nice long exhale, using the abdominal muscles there at the end to make sure you have a full exhale. And a full inhale. And a full exhale. Now relax the breath and just notice how that feels. That was just 3. The mind might a little bit deeper and longer than yours because I've been at this game for a while. Did you notice anything there, Maysha, just with 3 of those?
I feel shifts in my body whenever and I actually feel a shift this way, which is like me relaxing. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one way. Now notice I didn't hold the breath at the top or the bottom. So important in this space because so many of us, especially these days, there's so much fear in the collective, energy out there. And who knows what's happening in your private life, but there's like both, right? So holding the breath, then what do we do when we get afraid? We hold the breath. So we don't want to do that. We want to just nice round breath. We inhale, go to the exhale, go to the inhale. Don't rush, but just take your time and a nice, I call it a nice rounded breath. So we're not holding the breath and we're not telling the nervous system, oh, we have to look out for something. We're not even going there. We're just nice and even. And I'll tell you something. I'm going to give you guys an assignment, a challenge, if you're up for it. 11 minutes of that every day is a game changer. It'll change your life. It'll
11
change your life.
minutes of it.
Yeah. If you can, and you can put on a little mantra music if you want to to kind of, help the mind kind of calm down. But um, I just, so that's how we change from defensive, protective to connective. We use the breath. There's other practices, and I teach trauma-informed yoga, so I can take you into that space in a class. But that's the one I want to teach everybody here. So important. So the idea is we want to remain in this window of tolerance, this space where however we're reacting, we're not going into hypervigilance and overreaction. Or if we do, we use the breath to come right back into that window.
We recognize, we come to the point where we recognize and we self-correct.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. So the other thing is, we don't really understand why some people are born with more resilience, kind of as a baseline than others. But we do know that it's not a set point. It's a place to begin. It's kind of and we can work with it. So that's the good news. One of the benefits of, like we just kind of showed, one of the benefits of resilience is it helps you bounce back quicker when you've had some stress. Oh, yeah. When I first read Dr. Peters' book, remember I told you Dr. Peters' program I went to and wrote a book? Yeah. Yes. When I first read his book, he was still alive. And I read the part, page 69, I think, is the page that has a whole, he brings in resilience. And I'm like, he's saying people in chronic pain don't have resilience. I'm like, dude, what are you measuring? Like, how is it even measured? Because I thought I was I didn't understand at that point.
Sure.
And I thought, well, if I'm not resilient, who is? Because I did it all this way, right?
Right.
But, it turned in, and I asked him the question, and it turns out that I've given you the definition, but it turns out the actual measuring of it, we haven't figured out how to do that yet. There's like 15 different scales, measurement scales out there in the science world. So we haven't kind of settled. There's some that are more popular than others, but the question hasn't been settled yet.
On what resilience actually is and how to measure it.
On its measurement. We know
on its measurement.
We know it's the ability to the capacity to handle stress, but there's not like a system. There's not like one place, a little organelle or something like in the brain or in the body that's just for that. It's not. It doesn't work like that. Resilience is a kind of a full body thing. So
I believe that, because it is. I mean, you feel it everywhere. Every part of the body is involved in it. So I could see why that is a complex thing to. I'm not quite sure how you do measure it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd bring that part in.
Oh, that is very interesting. Yeah.
So I talked about how you can build resilience, what it is. Oh, let's do this. It's going to be kind of a short presentation, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
Tips for nurturing and sustaining your resilience.
Yeah.
Right? So one is get connected.
I was going to ask you, what does that mean? Yeah. That's my question is, what is
connected? Build strong, affirming relationships. Right? If you're in a toxic relationship, exit. Fix it or exit. Right?
Yes.
Do what you can to heal that thing or get out. Right?
Yes.
So you need a support network of encouragement, right?
Yes.
And you can develop there's all kinds of ways of developing nurturing relationships. You in your community, you can do service. I worked in the hospital as a volunteer for a while and met a bunch of people when I was in a new town. I was recovering from surgery, and they were like, when you get up and start walking again, I want you to be in the hospital, because they were worried something was going to happen. And so I was like, okay. And I met new people, and there's lots of places you can find a spiritual organization and work with them. parks and recreation. There's all kinds of ways you can support. You go to the library, go to the local library. There's all kinds of activities that kind of funnel in the library, and you can find connections that way too. So, and very important to find connections and not be isolated. Step into purpose, to do something that gives you a sense of purpose every day.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this because I have people that come to me and ask me, I don't understand my purpose. And this is my answer. Your purpose is to breathe consciously.
Yes.
Everything else comes from that.
Yes.
Now that some people are going to go, what is Elizabeth talking about? Well, I said 11 minutes, I put a challenge, 11 minutes, long, deep breathing, do it for 40 days. See what happens. Do it every day for 40 days and see what happens. It'll be a game changer. It brings you into the present moment.
Yes.
You're not in the past, fretting about the past. You're not worrying about the future or even thinking about, you're right here in the present moment. And you know what? That's where the information is.
Absolutely.
Your purpose will be right there for you, but you
Right.
got to be here first, right? That's why I say that. Your
Yes.
purpose is to breathe. Everything else comes from that. So
Yeah.
that's another important point. Learn from your experiences, right? So how many mistakes have I made today so far? It's barely 1:00. It's a little bit after 1 here. And I started the day by breaking a dish. Boom. Oh. Anyway, so, and I made a bunch of typos, and I sent the wrong email out to the wrong person, and I sent an email out to the wrong person. I mean, so, but you know what? I learned from my experiences. Oh, go slower, right?
Right.
You're moving too quickly, right? Check your work, right? Whatever
Right.
the lesson is, whatever the lesson is. But
Right.
I didn't call myself wrong. I called myself hurried. I'm not in alignment with the moment. And
Right.
in that case, oh, take your own advice, Elizabeth. Breathe consciously,
Right.
you know? So important. Learn from your experiences. Remember how you've adapted to circumstances around hardship in the past, and use those in the present moment when you're stressed. Also, keep a journal. You can write about past experiences, about your experiences in a journal, and a record of the past will help you identify how you got through something. And you can kind of go back. If you're stuck, you can always go back to your journal and see, well, how did I manage this before, kind of thing.
Yeah. What was my cure, or my what was my win before? How did I do this before? How did I overcome it before? What was my positive decision before?
How did
Yeah.
I make connection? How did I
Yeah.
connect even back into myself,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Stay in gratitude is another one. You can't change the past, but you can learn from its lessons and be grateful for what's here in the present moment. Right?
Right.
And then take care of yourself. Look after your needs. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. Have fun. Move your body. Get plenty of sleep. Eat a healthy diet. Practice stress management techniques like yoga, qigong, meditation, prayer. There you go. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Um, resilience doesn't remove your problems in life, but allows you to see past them better and live a more peaceful life. Live a more peaceful life.
I remember even as a small child, I had this awareness that life was short. And I felt like I'm supposed to do something. And I even felt I had friends that they didn't like sleepovers with me because I didn't want to sleep a lot. I felt like I was supposed to be doing something. And for many years, I felt like sleep was a waste of my time. If I slept too much, I felt guilty. I felt like I was wasting my time. And so I have to watch that now. I'll find myself I'm tired and I know I need to rest. And I know, I mean, I talk this stuff all the time. And I'll tell other people, no, when you're tired, you need to rest. And I have to make that conscious choice, not just a conscious choice to rest, but the conscious choice to then listen to the conscious choice to rest. I mean, I have to layer it that much because I still have that innate programming from somewhere that tells me that taking the time to rest is somehow, everybody else needs to do that, but you've got something you've got to do and you don't have time to. And so I'm still having to consciously choose to take the time and rest, or, but I'm recognizing it and doing it. I pay for it when I don't. And so I'm learning just like you. I'm like, take your own advice, do what you know you have to do. And so, because I get tired and then this isn't right and that's not right and that mistake happens and I'm hurting again. I don't feel well again. I'm foggy again. And so I have to make myself take the time and rest. And that is the things we get and where we get them from and all of that.
That's the boring part. That's why I bring that piece in, is that we, our past imprints,
right,
are influencing our present moment.
Right.
And I had that too. And a lot of chronic pain people, pretty much every chronic pain person that I've sat in front of, and there've been thousands of them, have this, I got to get to there. Well, one thing is they're not happy with their current experience. So they're trying to get into the next moment. And that's just going to bring more pain. But it becomes a habit, right? It becomes a habit.
It does. It does. I know that as a child, my life was such that I wanted to get grown up and get out of where I was at. And so I really think that was it. I thought, well, I'm sure of it. I know that I just kept thinking, I just couldn't wait to be an adult and not be trapped in that where I didn't have any control. And then I found out that when you became an adult, you didn't have all that control either, because you still lived in a world where, you didn't control everything. But as a child, I thought, oh, when you're an adult, you don't have all that, well, guess what? You do. And so that was, if you will, the disconnect for me was, wait a second, when do I get to where I was like my parents, where they got to do what they wanted to, but that was the disconnect, because as a child, that's what it looks like.
I know.
It looks like the parents get to do what they want to do. But then when you become an adult and you find out it's not that, then that dream is shattered, and putting that back together, it's taken me, I'm only 57 now. It didn't take me long. That's all. But that was a huge disconnect for me. I remember I kept thinking, when am I going to get as smart as the adults were? When am I going to become the adult? And now I do remember realizing that the adults didn't know either, and the adults didn't have control either. But that was a big aha moment. That was not like a aha, but it was like a aha. It was like, oh crap, that's not the answer I needed, so that was something, that was because I wanted out of that environment that it was not good. And so when I get old enough, I'll control it. And I got old enough to, but no, you don't. That's not, you have to control from within. You have to find the peace within. You have to find the happiness within. Yeah. But I didn't hear any of that or know any of that or know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing teaching me to do that. It was all about how to do the external. And the external, that's not where it's at.
No. And I didn't have any models for that.
Right. I had no models.
Nobody was modeling that for me.
Right. I didn't either.
I was looking out for, whatever it was. Looking in the wrong direction.
Right. Well, everyone around me, their coping mechanisms were, well, work all the time, be a hard worker. And then when you're not working, drink and play hard. Mm-hmm. And, well, drink a little more and play a little harder.
Right.
And then a lot of sex with whoever, and drink a little more and play a little harder, and then go work some more so you have money to do all that again. And then bitch, moan, and complain about everything. And that was Yeah,
That's the brain on chronic pain, by the way. That's
yeah,
addiction. That's all that stuff.
right, right.
It's looking away from here.
Yeah, it's not going within and finding what is
Right.
the issue and
Mhm.
fixing from within and coming from without. But yeah, it's only been in the past few years that I've come to understand, because that's a lot of stuff to unlayer and to figure out, because you've got all the pain that you're feeling. You know, there's a lot of layers there to get
Mhm.
to, especially when you didn't have any role models for that. So that's why your book and your work and getting the information out there is so
Mhm.
important, and being that for people and telling people this, because if it's not heard, if people don't know about it, then they're 57, and that's when they one day they're like, oh, wait a second, something about this isn't right, there's got to be a better way, or not quite. I mean, I found out sooner, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, that is what connected is. And I love all the different ways you gave for people to connect, because we live in a world where we don't always know what being connected means.
Oh, well, we're one or the other. We're connected or protected,
Right.
right? So um,
And
I'm just putting in the chat here because I know we're kind of coming to the end.
right.
Um, I'm teaching a course, a 12-part course, one class a month, uh,
Okay.
on the book, based on the book,
Okay.
the way through chronic pain. I'm just putting the link in here because I forgot to tell you about it before. There it is. That's the
Okay.
link to get to the course if you want to take it. It's a donation based course. We meet for an hour um, every first Tuesday of every month in
Okay.
six. There it is. Thank you.
You're
At
welcome.
6 to 7 p.m. Central, and everybody who registers gets access to the replay. And you just only have to register once, and you get access to the whole thing. So
Okay.
it's in partnership with the Wellness Universe, which is, I think you might know who that is. The
Hmm.
the the platform for a lot of wellness practitioners. You may even be on that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I'm a member. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
anyway, so that's
Okay.
kind of
There's that.
we'll be talking about we'll be covering um,
And there's
the
your
ways.
website.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
We'll be
welcome.
covering the ways to really heal chronic pain, and healing resilience is all packed in there. That's all of that will be growing your capacity to be resilient will be the center, really the focus of the work in that class,
Well,
the course. So anyway,
yes. Well, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it so much. It was a great topic, a wonderful topic, and just never get enough of what you have to say. It's always one good nugget after another. So thank you so much. And any,
wondering if that's accurate.
excuse me?
I'm wondering if that's accurate. I'm just going to open that. I have a feeling, just for a moment, I want to make sure
Okay.
I actually wrote that correctly.
Okay.
I think the .com on the Bitly part isn't actually accurate.
Okay.
So it's bit.ly / without the .com piece.
Okay. bit.ly
Yeah.
/ without the .com.
Yeah.
Got that.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. All right.
Put it in wrong.
And of course, they can go to your website, and
Yes,
you
that's
have
right.
it there too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, and
It's good to
everyone.
see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. And you all, thank you for joining us today on Akasa Living. As with all things I do, live in great big capital letters all the time. Bye, y'all.